All right. Hey, everybody. Jumesha with Start at Zero. I'm back this week. A little bit lighter topic, but very important, just like last week's topic was important. So, thank you, Nina and Tovah, for joining us. So we'll do some quick introductions. I'll go ahead and introduce Start at Zero. For those of you that don't know, we are an early childhood organization focused on home visits, and we partner with parents and caregivers to promote healthy early childhood development. So what that looks like is us doing home visits. Now they're virtual. So we've been excited about that, although we do miss our families. And joining me today, Nina and Tova have actually, been a part of our play groups and just support the work that we're doing. And so we're just excited to have them and talk and get to know them a little bit better, get to know their family and what they do. So I'll let you introduce yourself first, Tova, and talk a little bit about your network.
Hi, I'm Tovah Tanner. I am the co-founder of Real Cohesive Network. We focus on giving education and professional experiences to those people who are interested in entrepreneurship, growing food, also homeschool support and literacy. And so, we've been doing that for the past 6 years, but we've been incorporated for 2 years.
All right. Thank you. Glad you could join me. All right,
Okay,
Nina.
all right. Hi, everybody. My name is Nina Stribling. Um, I am a stay-at-home mom. Before, I always like to say before my life before kids, I was,
What was
I
that?
did have, I know, right? I did have one. I used to be an accountant and auditor before that, um, which is when I started cooking. I started a food blog about 8 years ago called Nina's Cooking Journey. And it really just is that, just my journey through cooking, sharing all the things that I'm learning along the way with other people who are foodies like me. And now that I have children, I'm able to incorporate them into that as well. So
Yeah. So, I didn't mention all my kids. I mean, I'm trying to act like I don't hear their feet running up and down the steps, around the house. And I was like, I'm going to do a Facebook Live. I need y'all to be quiet. And it's like, another one, So, uh, so we're just gonna have a real conversation. Tova's in her car, maybe hiding from the kids a little bit, and so we just gonna keep it
I'm in the
real.
basement. Girl,
Yeah.
I'm in the basement.
Yeah, I'm in the basement too. So, we just keep it real between the three of us. What is that? I have five. Tova, you have three, four.
I, I have four and I have two stepchildren.
Okay. And then Nina, you said you had three. So it's
I
a
have
lot of kids.
to.
I'm not even gonna do the math. I'm not even gonna do the math. It's a lot of kids. And so like I said, gardening and cooking with kids, cooking for kids, like our lives are literally revolving around it. So when we first started being home, from the pandemic and we were on spring break and then rolled right into, the sheltering order. And so I started cooking a lot and I was like, oh, I'm cooking. I'm in the kitchen. It's good food. The kids are excited for me to actually be cooking again. And then about 2 weeks into that, I was like, okay, like I've cooked too much. I need to get the garden going. Like I probably should have already planted some stuff. And so as we were talking about, what we wanted to talk to parents about, a lot of people ask me about gardening. How do you do it? How did you get started? Oh, your kids are cooking already. And I'm like, I mean, kind of, sort of. We're not really doing it. We're just making it work. And so I know a lot of moms, we're just making it work, but I also think that there's some strategy to it. And so I just wanted to jump in with something fun. So if both of y'all could share, like, what is your favorite thing to cook? Just you cooking. And then
Yeah.
what is your favorite thing to cook with your kids? Because that's a totally different ball game.
Yeah, I'll jump in first. My favorite thing to cook once I finally learned how to cook it was like holiday meals. So like Thanksgiving, Christmas, that type of stuff. Growing up, my mom always was the one to cook. Like that was her thing. She cooked, the dressing, mac and cheese. My dad made mac and cheese. But the cakes, the pies, all that stuff, my mom was responsible for
Okay,
making.
Dad.
I know, right? Girl, he can cook too. So when I finally got old
Right.
enough,
I
my
said,
own
okay, Dad,
family
I might want to
and my
bring it
own.
back a little bit.
Can you hear me? I broke up a little bit. No, I was just saying, like, you know, now that I can cook my own holiday meals, it reminds me of when I was growing up. It
It's
reminds
breaking
me
up a
of
little
my
bit. Yeah, just a
childhood.
little bit.
Okay. But that's my favorite thing to make. And then you asked for the favorite thing to make with my kids.
Okay.
You know,
I missed a little bit of it.
it's okay. I'll let Tova go ahead.
Okay.
So I can't really say I just have a favorite thing that I like to cook. I like to cook meals that are less than around right around the 30-45 minute mark, because I feel like it's less on my feet. I can prepare it. It's quick and easy, simple, meatless meals. So those are the meals that I enjoy the most, because I know it's not going to be constipation happening afterwards. Things, those healthy things that I know afterwards. Heavy foods, sluggish behavior. So I try to cook light meals that are fulfilling, and they're under 30-45 minutes. Now, what I like to do, I like to cook with my kids and kids in the community. I like to teach them different foods that they may not like. So last week we made broccoli burgers. So you wouldn't think growing up, like, yeah, I'm about to eat a broccoli burger. So I like to have creative foods in the kitchens to get kids excited. Like, you don't have to just eat steamed broccoli. You can have
Yeah.
these different recipes that are fun.
Right, right. Yeah, I wouldn't. And I think when kids hear that, they're like, what is that? I don't want that. And then when they get involved in the kitchen and actually preparing it, they're like, oh, that's cool. And then they taste it and they're like, oh, this is actually good. Some of them, especially they get older, they try to play it cool. But they actually like it and then they want to make more of it. So I always add, spinach or kale or something like that to the smoothie. They're like, I'm not eating that green smoothie. And then they taste it, and it's fairly sweet depending on what I put in it. And then they're like, oh, okay, I guess it's not that bad.
Yeah.
Today the kids were eating some chicken and something. And then I was like, none of y'all have any vegetables on y'all's plate. So they're like, oh, okay, we'll just go to the garden. And then went to the garden and got some kale. And I was telling somebody today, the kale is almost dying, right? Like not dying, but I started late, and so it's just not growing. It's not thriving like I had planned for the kale to thrive. And so, but they ended up saying, we still have some, and so they went to get it, and they're excited about eating it. So, I was telling a friend today that you can actually grow lettuce indoors, and so, Nina, I saw that y'all went to the strawberry farm. How was
Yeah.
that with the kids? Because you got two little ones, and I've been saying I'm gonna go, but I'm like, I don't know. And every time I see somebody go, I'm like, I'm gonna go this next week, and it's probably gonna be too hot by the time I decide to go.
It was a lot of fun. They actually did really well. We gave them each their own little cardboard box. So I think everyone had their own thing, so they didn't have to share, 'cause you know how that can be a challenge.
There you go.
Um, so I think everyone had their own box, and then we just kind of pointed them in the right direction and said, "This is what a ripe strawberry looks." Because at first they were kind of picking
Mm,
the white one, and we just like focused them and said, "This is what a ripe strawberry looks like," and then they just went and did their own thing. And like, we actually had to tell them to like, okay, we're done. We can't pick because I'm not paying for strawberries. Stop. But they loved it. It really wasn't bad at all. The 3-year-olds picked a lot. My 6-year-old picked probably like half of them.
so what did y'all end up
So
doing with the
it
strawberries?
was a lot of fun. I actually posted today on my Facebook page. We made strawberry jam.
Okay, okay.
And they actually, it was super easy. I just used the recipe on the back of the ball, packaging, and it was so easy. And now I don't think they'll ever go back. They keep saying, "Oh, that's not me." They keep saying we want homemade jelly and peanut butter sandwiches. So I don't think I'm gonna be able to go back to regular store bought jelly, but it is
Right, right.
And actually, I had my 6-year-old help me make it because we had to cut up all the strawberries and mash them all. So like there was a portion of it that he could help me with, and he loved it.
That's great. That's great. Tovah, have y'all been to any of the local farms to include in some of the community? I know y'all work at the community garden. So do you have like a plot out there, or do you just volunteer, or a little bit of both?
So I'm hearing a lot of static on my end, so I'm gonna try to work through it. But we have a backyard garden where we have 3 raised beds. We also have 8 rabbits that we tend to. We have our organization has a plot at the Kansas City Community Gardens where we grow food as well, and we also have almost an acre of land that we are preparing to grow food and turn that into a community garden. So outside of what we already have, I have not visiting.
Yeah, you're good. You're good. Right. So, what was that process like? Kind of, is that my static?
No.
You know, you have to, when someone else is, the trick is when
mute.
somebody else is talking, mute your mic.
Yeah, I do that. I'm like, oh, it's just 3 of us. We good. But no. So yeah, and then you might have to mute for a second. There we go. Okay, cool. So how did y'all get started with gardening? Like, did you grow up gardening? Did you just start? What's up? Tovah, for you. Yeah.
So okay, so for me, I did not grow up gardening. I didn't see that in my household. My husband actually had a vision. He wanted to have more sustainability. He wanted to homeschool. He wanted to garden. He just wanted a sustainable life. So in 2017, he had a tomato plant and he grew 90 tomatoes on one tomato plant. So when I seen that happen, I became intrigued. And so we start incorporating that into our program because I've been in health and wellness since I was 18. I started off as a CNA. I did hospice care. I did home care. I worked in hospitals, nursing homes. And then I transferred to massage therapy. I've been doing that for 13 years. So I've been in health and wellness. So I know how food is a major part of how much energy you have and how your mood and everything like that. So I just became intrigued, and I knew that was a portion that, because we guide youth entrepreneurs, so I knew that was a portion that they needed to know. I mean, if you want longevity, if you want to be able to function properly as a business, you got to be able to eat right and have physical health, mental health, and have that lifestyle. So it's truly a lifestyle. And then also, as my family was growing, I wanted to make sure that we were in a place where we had a good food conscious, where we were thinking about what we are intaking and how we are training them to live their lives. Because whatever we embed in them right now is going to go down in generations and generations. So we wanted to make sure we correct our eating habits and pass that along to our kids.
Yeah, I think for us, we moved into our house and we had so much backyard space. I was like, I'm gonna just take this little bitty plot and garden. So then I got the tiller from the community garden. So you can, those of you that don't know, you can rent a tiller from the community gardens, or they can come out and till for you. And so that's like phenomenal. So I think the second year I had them come out because I was pregnant and I didn't want the tiller to be shaking and I'm pregnant. So I was like, I better not do that. But the first year, my father-in-law had done a little patch for me, and then it did so well. I was like, I just need more space. And so my husband was like, maybe later. I just don't want you tearing up the whole yard. So he's more like, I'm cool with the vegetables. I like that it's saving money, but like, I don't want to tear up the whole yard. And so I started going with the tiller. And I just kept going and I just kept going. So he came home and literally the whole like a corner, like a whole part along our fence, I had tilled the whole thing. And I was like, he's going to be excited because, I'm going to save some money. And he's big on budgeting. It's going to be great. Y'all, he will not let me live this down, that I basically tore up the whole yard. even if I'm like, it's for the family. But what I noticed is as I was growing stuff, it didn't look like what I was seeing in the grocery store. And so I was like, this cauliflower don't look like the cauliflower at the store. I didn't know when it was ready, when it wasn't. It tasted totally different. I didn't at the time like tomatoes. But once I started eating tomatoes from the garden, I was like, bruh, like this is so good. I want tomatoes on everything, making some tomatoes with zucchini and onions from the garden and like all the stuff. And then, I had my older family members asking me like, you must have got that from my mama them back in the day because they used to garden. And so there's this like lost, I don't want to call them lost, but there's a generation of people that was like, hey, we have all this convenient stuff at the grocery store. You don't have to do all that cooking from scratch. Like I'm with Tovah. I like the quick meals. But somehow along the way we got lost with, making quick meals or like eating healthy meant that we had to do all of this work. And so I think sometimes like, you cooking for Christmas, Thanksgiving, the holidays that your family enjoys, but it don't have to be all of that. So,
I agree. I'm going to say, like, I think we got away from using our hands. We got like the mindset that if we use our hands, that's not cool. Using your hands to work rather. So, we went out like, I got my education, I got my degree, I'm working in the office. I'm not doing no tilling or nothing like that.
Raising bunnies and stuff, we don't have to do all that.
No, but and honestly, last year was the first time that I ever even grew any of my own anything. My husband built me a raised plant bed. And I did it for a couple of reasons, one, because budgeting, I thought it would be nice to save money. Two, I was just interested to see if I could grow something. If I could grow something, make it and eat it, and then when I did, I was like, oh my God, it's exciting. It's exciting not just for my kids, it's exciting for me too. And so now I'm learning, I definitely come from a family of farmers. My grandfather, my mother gardens and grows all types of stuff. So, it's in our blood for sure. And so I'm just excited to learn more. And now that I'm starting on this journey, like I'm not as far as you and definitely not Tovah, but I'm getting there for sure.
And I think it's like phases, like I said, I had been in and out of trying to start gardening, like I started and we moved in this house in 2012. 2011. We moved in here in 2011. And I think the first year I had a garden wasn't until like 2014 or 15, maybe even later than that. And then I took like 2-3 years off. And so last year, this is my first year garden, probably in 3 years, actually. I'm getting the math wrong because, I got a lot of kids, so I can't keep everything straight. But I know it's been about 2 years for sure. And my soil, the Missouri's dirt and soil is a whole problem. But the soil was so hard. And so I didn't even know where to start because, some people like Tovah, they know how much, nitrogen and how to balance the pH in the soil and like what to add to it and what to plant next to each other. And I had done a little bit of that research, but then I tapped out so long. And this year I was so excited to just get started. I was like, okay, you just threw this garden together and it's struggling right now. Like it's struggling. You need to get on Pinterest, find Ron on Facebook and look up some of his videos, call Tovah, call Kansas City Community Garden, somebody. But then we had some kale and we had a few collards that's struggling. And I was like, okay, the kids are excited. So I'm going to just ride it out. So Nina, have you expanded your garden this year or you just still got the raised bed or what are you thinking?
I still have the raised bed. I want to expand to in-ground because what I found, at least for me, is that it's harder to grow certain things in the raised bed. So things that need a deeper root, those things struggled. Whereas like now, like all my herbs came back on their own. I didn't even have to replant them. So the things that were shallow roots, I think I'm gonna keep the shallow root stuff, in the raised bed and then expand and do an in-ground plot right next to it. So I can plant, like I wanted to do pumpkins. I thought that would be fun for the kids, stuff like that.
And I think knowing when to plant stuff, because I was just, you're supposed to plant some stuff early in the summer so it can be ready by the fall. And it's just a whole situation. And so,
It's a lot.
And the kids don't learn about it at school, so it's like another thing that you have to teach your kids. I noticed, do y'all ever go to the farmers markets, or did you go before, COVID happened? How often do you go to the farmers market?
Well, I know for my son, he worked through Meals to Men at the farmers market. So he was there every weekend pushing carts for people. So my husband was down there a lot and he shopped there a lot. So he's always bringing back some honey or jams and
Yeah.
and they have some good farmers down there and good vendors that have homemade things. So it was always interesting whenever he brought back something. And so I've converted to now I'm growing. Now I'm looking at recipes on what can I make from what I'm growing. So it is, like you said, it's levels to it because you got to know, like you said, the dirt. You got to know what insects they're going to bring, what to plant next to them, how to measure it out, not too close, how much you're watering them. And then not only that, once you grow it, how do you harvest it? How do you know when it's ready? Then after that point, how do you clean it? Well, that cleaning process is pretty easy, but then it's like, how do you store it? How do you, like it's a whole process you have to learn. And the cool thing about it is whenever we are into something we don't already know, so we're researching and learning along the way with our children. So it makes it much more fun.
Yeah, I remember telling my kids, these onions are healthy for you. And they were like, how are they healthy for us? And I was like, for your eyes, they do this. And they were like, oh, that sounds amazing. And then they just start eating more of it. But I was like, I didn't really know. You know what I'm saying? And so I think normalizing, like, let's research this together. Let's find out. And sometimes I do sneak because I'm like saying all this stuff because I know it's healthy. But also I need to go and like show them, like, we can look this up. We can do a project. What would y'all like to cook? Like my kids love skillet potatoes. And I'm like, okay, what we going to put in it? Oh, let's sprinkle some of this on. Let's sprinkle some. Like, well, how does that taste? Last time y'all didn't want it like that. How does this person like it? And so just experimenting. And I get impatient with my kids in the kitchen. I'm gonna just be honest, because they all want to do like the fun job. I'm like, I need somebody on dishes. I need somebody on setting the table. We got enough jobs to go around, but everybody wants to be at the stove. So what has it been like, actually cooking with the kids in the kitchen? Do y'all's kids do well? Do they fight? Do y'all let them cook a lot?
Well, thankfully, my 3-year-olds are too young to really cook. So they are always on prep duty. When they do help me out, they are typically on prep duty. I let the 6-year-old, I'm starting to let him cook more at the stove with my, supervision. But I usually try to give them each a job and say, okay, you have to peel the banana and you have to stir it. And then you get to, I try to like assign a job and a part, as like you said, part of the fun part. It keep going out. I don't know why.
Don't want us to be great. It's like you got kids, trying to garden, trying to cook, trying to do too much. We don't want to talk about all that. We just go cut you off now. You asking too much of families.
No, what I was saying is like right now they're too young. The 3-year-olds are too young to really demand much. But when they get older, I don't know how I'm gonna deal with that. I guess I'll take it as it goes. But right now, the 6-year-old is the one that really, really helps me. And then the 3-year-olds or Kendrick and Jordan will come in and say, okay, let me just stir. They're happy just stirring, like doing one stir, and then they're like, all right, I'm good. So
Well, Tova, I know you are, at the Y a lot, and it's kids at all different levels of cooking. Some of them probably haven't been allowed in the kitchen at all. Some of them know how to do it. How do you even manage just a big group with different ages, and how does that work? Because I have wanted to join, and we had actually planned to join this summer, and, everything happened. But I'm just looking at it like, I mean, I'm glad she's doing it, but I don't know if my nerves can handle it. So how do you get all the kids, and they all look like they're having so much fun?
And they do have so much fun. So typically the parents are just kind of sit back and relax, and they let us do it. So when they come in, everybody find their seats. They have their recipe books, and we kind of read aloud what we're going to do. Talk about the measurements. We talk about the geography of the different foods and fun facts that they may not have known. So we do a lot of education on hand washing, making sure we wear gloves. If you scratch, sneeze, or touch anything, you have to remove it, how to remove gloves. And we get into our group sometimes, because we went to a max of 20, 22 kids at one point. So everybody couldn't do everything, but we typically have them in groups, and everybody just has a job. Everybody, you may have a reader, you may have someone who is measuring, you may have someone who stirs, and someone who's getting things in and out the oven. So I think because having 4 kids and I know how to, multitask, it's not as bad. And the Y has a good system of making sure they support us, trying to stay organized. Sometimes we have so much fun and we start talking about a lot of different things that I look up. I'm like, we are so running out of time. So the cooking classes are my favorite because, when you break bread with people, when you're actually eating amongst people, good conversation comes, a bond happens. And so a lot of kids, we made a lot of different strange things like breakfast sushi rolls, banana waffles, chicken nuggets, watermelon salsa, just different things that we created just to have them have fun with the food and taste the food and not over flavor the food and add too much salt. And it's meatless meals. It's fun. We're bringing it back in fall once this COVID is all over. But um, as for the kids, we do a lot of videos, or virtual videos, so everybody has a task of what they're doing. And I just try to make it fun, because I know for me growing up, if it wasn't fun, you probably lose interest real fast. So that's the most important thing when it comes to gardening. If they get tired, if it gets hot, I have a water fight. Just anything to where it creates a memory. So they say, you know what, this was fun, and I want to teach my kids, or I want to incorporate this into my lifestyle. I think that's the most important part for me.
Yeah, so I love what you said about breaking bread. I know we are so busy, and we had to slow down and say, okay, you're gone some nights, me and my husband, then I'm gone some nights, and it's just too much. And so we have to have some nights where we are at the table and we're cooking a meal together, and then actually eating it together, and then talking to each other. So, there's been times where I try to sneak my phone to the table to like send a quick text or check an email. And I'm like, no, these moments are so precious, and the whole purpose of like making memories and bonding and connecting. And so I think that we get to bring kids into the things that we love. And sometimes we don't know we love them until we start doing them. Like, I didn't grow up gardening. And if you would have told me I was going to be outside in the dirt with my nails dirty and all this, I'm not a nail person, but I don't want them dirty, And then I saw your bunnies and the rabbits, and I was like, oh, we should probably get some bunnies. I don't like animals like that, but it could be fun for the kids. Like, but even just the garden, like, we can make it work. And so I think like, exploring some of those things with the kids, and then making those memories, and as much as I'm like just trying to get dinner on the table, even having a kid chop some celery or add to it, scramble the eggs, when I come down off of just trying to get the food on the table, I can actually think, and like say, this is more important that you learn. And I was going to say something too, we, my kids, like I say, let's cook. And they like, okay, bam, I'm about to do the whole thing. I know how to cook, red beans and rice. And I'm like, okay, so how do you do that? I don't know, you know? So that first thing's like, okay, what ingredients do we need? And so the critical thinking that happens when you have to garden and we have to prepare a meal, you know, all the way from planting seeds to eating, you know, the whole process is just a journey. So we can slow down and see it like that. I think, you know, and start where you are, wherever that is. Like I wasn't supposed to have the whole backyard dug up, but I was like, we're gonna do this. And I burned, you know, a lot of vegetables died that year, but we had a lot of vegetables too. And so I really appreciate you, you know, talking about the fun of it, because I'm definitely, especially because I'm over cooking right now, you know, that is a good reminder to me to still have fun and make memories with the kids.
Yeah, I agree. I always, when my kids ask me to cook, sometimes you want to just get in there and get done and be done, you know? And I do that. I'm guilty of thinking that way a lot, but I can honestly say when my son asks me to cook 90% of the time, I usually say, if he can help me, I say yes. And that's because one, he's showing an interest in something that I'm doing, and two, he wants to do it with me. So I wanna be there with him, creating those memories. And so if he wants to see what I'm doing, I'm not gonna, impede that. I want to help him.
One of the
So
things
I
I
agree.
would
I'm
go ahead.
sorry. Go ahead.
One of the things I do tell the kids, if it's nasty, I get to blame it on you. And I tell the kids that in the cooking class too. And I'm like, all right, because it's always testing time. And I'm like, I wonder if they're gonna like this watermelon salsa. Or I wonder if they're gonna like this stuff. And so I'm like, all right, remember it's testing time. If you like it, give thumbs up. If you don't like it, hey, you made it. You guys mix it and everything else. But and we do smoothies too, and we talk about, we do like brain frog smoothies, and we talk about chai seeds and different things like that. So yeah, I'll make sure I just have, you just gotta have fun, and you think about the best time of your childhood. It's just memories that you go off of, and if you're not creating those memories and you're not making it fun, they're not gonna want a life of sustainability. They're gonna think it's like, well, I was always picking weeds, so it ain't fun, and I don't want to do it, and I'm burnt out. I know a lot of people that in their childhood, that's how they grew up. They were always in the garden, and now they hate it. They don't have a garden. They don't want to have a garden, and I'm just not trying to have that type of lifestyle.
Yeah, it is. I remember my daughter, and then you have to go with the kids' personality too. My daughter was my oldest daughter. She'll be 10 in August. She was about 3, and me and her work in the garden. And I will sometimes garden to like ignore the kids. You know, I'm like, I'm picking these weeds, y'all go play, because I don't want to beg them to pick weeds, like Tovah just said. Okay, and then she was like, we're working so hard, and they're just playing, and I'm like, you 3, like, what are you talking about? But she still likes to work hard, and I like to work hard. And so like embracing that part of gardening too. I'm like, I put my watch on, and I used to have a heart rate monitor, and I'm like, dang, I'm actually out here burning calories, you know? And so I didn't realize that you could do like that. It's good exercise too. Now you can mess up your back if you're not squatting correctly and, pulling up your vegetables correctly, but it's just good to be in the sun. And then even the science and research shows, like if you have your toes in the dirt and in the yard and all of that, that's really good for kids too. The dirt on your hands. So we can get into all the brain and the psychology behind that. But that's also a benefit, of gardening with kids. And then that critical thinking I mentioned with the cooking. So it's just so many benefits
And I would
to it.
tell you, moms, gardening, like she said, gardening is a workout. I don't like to work out. COVID has made me a couch potato too. But I tell you, it looks like I've been doing squats.
Right.
Working with those holes, and you dig it, and you using those glute muscles.
Yeah.
I was like, I was still be
Everybody like, sign me up today. Okay. I'm in it. I'm in now. I'm in. I love it. I love that so much. So, if y'all could give, just some tips on either gardening or cooking or a little bit of both, for everybody that's out there, we thank everybody for joining us. Like, what would those tips be? Kind of your top thing to keep in mind when you're gardening or cooking with kids?
I'll give a tip real quick. One of the things that I always think of when I'm trying to cook with my son or my kids is trying to get them to eat healthier things, right? We always trying to get them to eat vegetables and all that stuff. And so I would at first I try to make all these crazy things like avocado toast. He don't eat avocado, just things that he really hadn't heard of, and I had to take a step back and just really keep it simple. So that would be my tip. Like, keep it simple. Try to find something that they already like to eat, and then change one ingredient. Um, so for like, instead of using sugar, you can use in some. So did you hear me? So I was saying, instead of using like sugar, you can use honey in some recipes. One of my favorites is flaxseed, ground flaxseed. I put that in everything, like muffins, granola bars, because you can't really taste it, and it's good for digestion. Like, it's good for the kids, so they don't know they're eating healthy. Or using English muffins for pizza crust instead of, if you want to cut down on carbs. So just different things. So just keeping it simple, starting really, really small, and changing something that they already eat, and getting them involved and letting them see it. So, sometimes you can sneak stuff in, and that's fine. But I've noticed that if I let him see what I'm putting in, so for example, we like to make chocolate chip zucchini muffins a lot. And at first I wasn't telling him that I was putting zucchini in it, but I was like, it would be a good idea for him to know, so he knows that he likes zucchini. So I had him help me make it one day, and I was like, we shredded zucchini. We had a big old mound of zucchini, and I said, we're gonna put all of that in there. And he was like, we actually put that in there. And then when he, ate them, you could see the little pieces of zucchini in it after they were baked. And he was like, I like zucchini. So he's telling my husband, I like zucchini. So, it's good to have them see the things that you put in it so that they know, and so that they can appreciate, and maybe try zucchini in another form, or whatever it is that you're trying to get them to eat. So those would be my tips.
Yeah, thank you for sharing those. What about you, Tovah?
So I was trying to think of tips. Um, I think the biggest tip is, when we're talking about gardening and food, is, I would say, focus on goals of your lifestyle, of what you want to accomplish, and have those small goals, and just really hone into whatever goal you're trying to obtain. Maybe you want to stop eating meat. Okay, start knocking down, the amount of times you cook meat throughout the day, throughout the week, throughout the month. There's little things that you can, accomplish. For gardening, I think you just have to dive into gardening. You have to at least grow one thing and see how great you are. I was, people that follow me on Facebook know I love to talk about twerking and and cooking and gardening. So I'm just like, grow one thing, and you realize, like, dang, like, I can do this. Like, I can obtain this. Like, who would have known this city girl can dig up some dirt, plant it, and grow something and eat it and feed my family? Like, no way. Like, just believe that you can do it. And so, I guess for that, I would say, because everything is virtual, it's a lot of different workshops that are being offered. I'm actually going through certification on many different levels of gardening. A lot of universities and a lot of colleges are offering free workshops. So just follow some of those university page, get in groups that support growing your own food, and kind of listen to see conversation, follow conversation, and just kind of tap into it. I I mean, you just have to tap into it. If you want it, you want to obtain it, you gotta do a little bit of research. So that's my take on it.
And I think with me, because I could be all over the place. Some days I'm like, oh, I love gardening. My kids are so cute. This garden is so great. We cooking. It's so good. And other days I'm like, I'm not going outside. I'm not cooking. I'm not doing nothing. And sometimes I have more days of those. I ain't doing none of this, than I do of like, oh, this is so sweet. And so I have learned like to let go of like the hard parts of it and just embrace like the good stuff. Cause I can always talk about the bad stuff all day. We always, you can get in your mom groups and just complain, And so I had started asking my kids, like, do you want me to help you eat it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, okay, so I'll take a bite and they take a bite and then like, sometimes they don't really like it, but then they'll taste it anyway, and so then I just help them eat it. And so it just makes it so much easier. And I don't have to like have a power show. It's like, you're going to eat 2 bites before you get up. And sometimes, you got to do that sometimes because I got to get some vegetables somewhere. But for the most part, if I just have a more soft, open-handed approach, like, hey, I'll help you do this or we'll do it together. Like they, digging and I'm like, just dig harder, like just, and I'm like, actually just go over and help them, like chill out. And I know that there's some moms that are a little more uptight like me. And so I just need y'all to know y'all can let it go. Y'all can chill out a little bit, and just not have to control the whole situation and it have to turn out how you want it to turn out. And so, I'm some days are really good and some days are not. And so, I love what Cindy said here. She said, when cooking with kids, if something helpful to remember is messes equal memories, which is something we said, but that seeing it in writing right here was like, messes equal memories. Like, okay, it is definitely messy. So I'm hoping there's some memories happening as well. So so I didn't want to keep everybody too long. I'm sure kids are either still up or we need to kind of wind down, have that mommy time. So tell everybody where they can find y'all real quick and then we'll wrap up.
Well, my page, my Facebook page and Instagram is Nina's Cooking Journey on Facebook and Nina's Cooking on Instagram. I'm working on revamping my website I used to have up. So that'll be up soon. Yes. But that's where you can find me.
So you can find us on Facebook and Instagram, Royal Cohesive Network. That's ROYALE. You can also go to our site. We have a lot of virtual learning going on right now. And so those 4 areas that I mentioned, literacy, homeschool education, and also cooking, gardening, and you can find a lot of content on there, and that's royalnetwork.org. And so yeah, you can follow us on Facebook, IG, and we also have a YouTube page as well.
Cool. Well, thank y'all so much. I, selfishly, I just love talking to y'all individually. So to get y'all together and then talk to other people about what we do as moms, just the day to day, is just really exciting for me. So I really appreciate y'all joining. And if Start at Zero can continue to support the work y'all are doing, we definitely want to do that. We have one more Facebook Live for the summer. We'll start back again, maybe in August. We'll see. But the virtual space, we're just trying to figure it out. And so next week we'll be talking about mental health for moms. And so I have Ebony, who's one of our parent educators, that's coming on. Janelle, who is a part of Nail's Notes. She does a lot of vision board parties and just inspiration for women. And then Ruby Perkins, who is also a parent in our program and does lashes and financial support. So we're just bringing everybody together just to keep the conversation going and how we can do a little bit more self-care. I know sometimes we're like, oh, we home, we're doing some self-care, but we're not, so just sometimes that's gardening, sometimes that's cooking with kids as part of our care. And then sometimes it's not doing anything with any kids and just kicking it, And so we want to make sure all of that is part of the conversation that us moms are having and that families are having. We'll include the dads a little bit on down the road. But yeah, so thank y'all again for joining us. Thank you everybody for watching. And we look forward to seeing y'all at some future Facebook Lives and parent cafes, virtual circle time, all the fun stuff on Royal Cohesive Network as well. And follow Nina's Cooking Journey. I'm just gonna get it popping. All right, y'all.
Bye, ladies. I'm so good to see you. I miss you.